Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Roger That Chronicles. Your boy Cappuccino behind the scenes today. Listen, if you like what you see here today, make sure you go to the old YouTube box. 216 Creator Studios. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Ding that bell for the future notification. Chris is in the house. How you doing, Chris?
Howdy, howdy. I'm doing well.
Anything new? Anything? I always ask you the same question.
What is not
you
new?
Never. You're like, there's so much going on. I don't even know what to say. You know?
You
got a lot of stuff coming around the corner.
Yes, we do. We're pretty excited about it, but we'll save that for a different show.
Yeah, okay. Do we have a new show? I don't even know. Let's get right to it because I love our guest.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is super awesome. I'll let you take it from there.
Like, who are you talking about?
I'll let you take it from there.
All righty, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And we are excited to have Colonel Patty Klop with us today, and she is a U.S. Marine. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. I'm very honored for this invitation. So thank you very much for having me on the show.
Oh, we're thankful. We've got to keep the Marine family going. My son is a Marine,
Hoorah.
so hoorah, right? So why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, like, when did you join the Marine Corps? Why did you choose the Marine Corps? And a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, no, wonderful. Thank you. So I am the youngest of four, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and then my dad was an airline pilot. So he flew for Pan Am initially, and then they went out of business in '92. He picked up with United, but a lot of great memories growing up, doing a lot of traveling. So mostly domestic, but a lot of international flights. It was just wonderful as a young girl. So South America, Paris. So I was 14 and. Most of my teenage years, and so we definitely had a love and passion for travel. And also I was a avid soccer player, so my brother taught me soccer. I was very young at 6, loved it. It's my first love. Grew up playing soccer, so and we did very well. So I was picked up for in college soccer scholarship and went to a liberal arts school in Berry College in Rome, Georgia. So we did really well, national champions my freshman, senior year. So long story short, my love of sports, athletic, very, I feel, ambitious, and then independent, a lot of travel. And I thought there is no other organization that I can think of that would challenge me more than the Marine Corps. Not to mention, it's the fewest of women. Right. So I remember vividly my senior year in high school. Now, mind you, I went to a Catholic private high school. It was very preppy. I mean, we were all college bound, including myself, and it was important I get my degree. But how dare any woman, ever express an interest in the military, because that's not what you did back then. So this is 1990. So I actually kept it a secret just because I wasn't very confident but I would say the best way to describe my thoughts about the Marine Corps was like a calling, because it was so unusual, but it wasn't anything like I could describe. Like, it was really something like made my heart beat fast. I was very passionate. I got very excited when I talked about it, and it just fit me so good. And so I was pursuing that. I actually reached out to a gal who actually was a date of a guy that went to my school. We all had triple dates to go to prom. She went to a different school, went to Marine Corps boot camp, stayed in touch. Anyway, she loved it, and she was just encouraging. So it just boosted my confidence. Stayed in touch with her for a year. I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. I feel I got a shot. Now, mind you, if you knew me and most Marines, we're kind of an all or nothing breed, So it's like, I told my mom, and she was very happy for me, and she was excited. She goes, that's great. And I'm like, but it's Marine Corps bus. I really am not interested in any other service. Like, it's the Marine Corps. Now, my dad was a different story. So my dad went into the Marine Corps in 1956, right to flight school. He was a F-8 Crusader fighter pilot. So they have this, his aircraft is retired in the Smithsonian, Aviation Smithsonian, but he was a Top Gun. So just like in the movie, he did everything in Top Gun. And I joke around, I like to say, he made the great Santini look like a wuss when it came with me. So, just everything hardcore. He did 3 years active duty. The rest was reserve till 20, and then retired as a reserve major. So I am coming home my freshman year of college on the Christmas break, and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to tell my dad that I'm going to join the Marine Corps. Now, again, my mom was extremely supportive and very happy for me. So I vividly remember on that Christmas break, we were in the back patio, and I just blurted it out. I said, Dad, I'm joining the Marine Corps. And he laughed and walked away. And I never forgot that, because my thoughts were, he doesn't think I can hack it, or he knew I was getting into, but I never took it personally, because I know back in 56, it was a different Marine Corps. Now, again, mind you, 1990, when I started to go in, when I first active duty, it was only 5% of women in the Marine Corps, the least amount of women than all the services. Today, when I retired, it's 8.5% to 9%. So that's been very exciting to see. But going back, I just remember, that encounter, and I didn't take it personal, because it was this calling. It's like, all these naysayers are coming at me at college, and I remember the baseball coach and a professor and questioning my judgment, but nonetheless, I graduated, and while everybody wore their cap and gown, I was only one in my dress blues, because then I got commissioned.
Oh,
so
wow.
I go active duty, and it's been very challenging, but everything I wanted, everything I expected. So after you go to OCS and then the basic school, basic training, so Okinawa, Japan, and then Parris Island, where I'm supervising the drill instructors as they supervise the recruits. So 5 years active duty, the rest reserves. And mind you, that moment encounter with my dad, fast forward 26 years later, and I'm selected for colonel. And at the time, I was a school teacher at a small school in Prairie Grove. And so they decided to have this as a school assembly. So I had 700 students, teachers, staff, administrators, and I made it clear. I said, this is not about the military or recruiting. A little influence wouldn't hurt, but it was, let me tell you, I am selected for colonel today. I would never have expected that. I was just happy to be on the team, much less a leader of the team. Mm-hmm. I said, I couldn't begin to tell you the naysayers, and I told the story about my dad. I said, you need to be true to yourself and how you feel you're hardwired, and reach for the stars, and don't look back. Just keep those hopes high and set those goals. So then I get promoted, and I share that. And today I outrank my father, not by 1 rank, but 2 ranks. And it was glorious. And he stood up, and I saluted him, and everyone laughed. It was just the most delightful moment of my life. And he's like, I have to call her ma'am now. And so anyway, it's so ironic how the tables turn, where he couldn't think I hacked it. And even after 5 years, it is. The Marine Corps is very, very high paced. It's life in the fast lane, very fast tempo, and I knew this was too much for me full time. So I went to the reserves. But even then, he would visit me at Parris Island, and I would be in the stands, and we watched the graduation, which is very emotional. And he start, a little tear in his eye. And of course, it's another Friday for me. So I'm like, okay, and, looking at all the ceremony. He's like, you big toughie. And he goes, well, think about staying in. And I'm like, okay. So long story short, he emphasized you have got to stay in the reserves. So the next month, I go into the reserves. Mm-hmm. And then it's been amazing. I mean, I could say that some people may perceive the reserves as like second string, or not equal to the active duty, but I can tell you from my experience in my career that because I'm reserve, and they tap in the reserves when we deploy, and I say it's kind of the cheaper way to go to war, because we got to have the infrastructure to stay home, is that I've had so many more exciting or assignments that I've had more exposure than a lot of my active duty friends who did not deploy, let's say, to a combat zone. And so things that I've been able to pursue versus being stuck at staff work, maybe 3 years on active duty without being able to go anywhere. So the reserves have been amazing. And it was enough where I could go hard in uniform, but then know that I could recover and, kind of catch my breath back at home. And then I had a wonderful school that was extremely supportive. So, it was the best of both worlds. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better arrangement. So, for that was really good. But a quick story that's worth sharing. So, my dad, because he flew for Pan Am and he did international flights, so he was a co-pilot on 747.
Oh, wow. Big jumbo
big,
jet.
Yes, big aircraft, 2 floors, very like back in the day, like where flying was extremely elegant and fancy. And so he thought that, interesting story, he was at about 16 years in the reserves, and he was a pilot, so he flew out of Andrews Air Force Base. That's where they have Air Force One. So he would fly, and he's on drill weekend, and he flies, and his aircraft engine stopped. And so he got ejected out of the aircraft and landed in the Chesapeake Bay, and his aircraft landed in the water in there in the Atlantic. And just like Top Gun, Coast Guard came and he got ejected fine, and then you had that green dye, and they found him, and thankfully he didn't have anything serious injured. So, what is fascinating is that that's the same day as Chappaquiddick. So you got to wonder, is there something strong in the magnetic fields of the moon or something? But tragedy again elsewhere in that same day. So of course, they need to pin on this to somebody. He didn't get court-martialed, but, they did an investigation, and, so it wasn't anything adverse, but they said, they basically asked him to leave the squadron. So that was unfortunate. So the last couple of years, because he was an international airline pilot, is that he would go on these long trips, international, but then he had a nice layover. So he would take correspondence and then just get the points in. So you can get so many points in a year. Like for us, it's 50 points, and you can get so many points through correspondence. So he just barely made his minimum requirement to squeeze out retirement. And so he did that, and as far as he knew, he was done. But then they call him, and Headquarters Marine Corps called my dad, said, Major Bacon, I'm sorry, Bacon was my maiden name. I'm sorry, but you are not done. You have another year. And my dad, my dad's like, let's see, I'm top of my game with Pan Am, making really good money. I could take it or leave it. And, but he started this, he's like, I'll finish it. So just out of, good qualities and, his nature. So he just squeezed out another year. Again, barely made the minimum, got his 20. And he shares that to me because then he's retired. And yes, he may have a pension from Pan Am and United, but it was a military pension that really proved huge, because not the monetary income monthly, but the medical part. So that's why he's like, whatever happens, you better squeeze out those 20. So I love
for the medical.
I know. Well, that's where he would do a lot of tennis, and all his tennis buddies are, between a husband and wife are 600, 700, where he could pay in mail, support, get his prescription for a couple bucks, or go on base and get it free. So, but he shares that, and he feels like he really lived a charmed life. And I would say I'm my father's daughter. He was my hero, and I looked up to him. So unfortunately, I lost my best friend August 2nd, 2019. But I would say he had the greatest influence, about, he was an administrator, I was an administrator, that we thought the same. I had the same dry sense of humor.
That's most important.
I know, right? Dad jokes, or now I call them mom jokes, right?
Wow. So that was quite an influence on you, as well as all the other qualities or highlights that the Marine Corps was showing for you to fit in there.
100%. Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I have to say, what a difference. Like I went in, commissioned April 30th, 1994, started that October, the basic 5 years. And I remember very well at Parris Island, like none of us was married except for a few, but none of us had kids. And now I go back, and this younger generation is just so admirable. They're like, no, we want the family, and if you want to retain good skills, good talent, this is what we want, and they're making it happen. So that 8.5% to 9%, like I'm just very impressed. A lot of them are married to another Marine, but now there's a lot more accommodating by the Marine Corps with the monitors to make sure they are working in the same location and making it work. So that's been really neat to see over the years. Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. So what was your favorite place that you went internationally for the Marine Corps?
Okay, so interesting. That's the thing. If you go in the Marine Corps, it's because you want to be a Marine. Other than that, the places they offer are just really tough. I mean, I'm just going to, it took me a long time. I went to Okinawa right out of college. I was 23. 6 months, I'm like, okay, I'm done. And the island fever, I didn't know at that young age how to make the most of my time. And now, of course, it's, improved immensely. But it was like an infantry base. There was, really hard pressed to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
But, so most places I find in the Marine Corps were hard for me to enjoy. But then I hit the jackpot. So after Iraq, I came back, and this was 7 months, and I was the administrator, and I'll just say it was a grind. I was really burnt out. Administration, so everybody, the travel, accountability, emergency leave, the legal, the TAD, the travel claim. I mean, just fitness reports, awards. I mean, it was like everyday college, it was just demanding, and I was really worn out. And so I was not even considering another assignment. So then I finished I came back from Iraq, and then I had a great mentor who said, hey, I'm with Marine Forces Europe. Why don't you join me? So she was my boss. And so I was a major. This was Lieutenant Colonel Helmand Pratt. And so I went to Marine Forces Europe, which is Stuttgart. And it was fantastic. I mean, this is the Marine Corps was not there very long established as Marine Forces Europe. Because we just weren't that lucky. Your Army gets all the great places, and same with, Air Force. But and even in Okinawa, you went to the Air Force base for the officers club to have fun. I mean, that's where they had civilization, so not the Marines, okay? And it is just hard pressed. And we take a lot of pride in that. We do the most with the least, but there's a sacrifice with that too. So I go there and follow her lead, which is fantastic. So I'm just thinking I'm doing a reserve thing. So it's 2 weeks there in Stuttgart with Marine Forces Europe. Well, the G1 was a Lieutenant Colonel, Jeff Wolf, and heard of me. And so he needed a replacement for the hospital liaison in Lundstall. Now, when he said he's G1, which is administration, basically all the things I did in Iraq. And the first thought was oh no, I am not interested in admin. I am so charred. But then he's like, this is, you will be a hospital liaison for all the wounded medically evacuated from Iraq and Afghanistan, which at this time were 2 raging wars. So this is basically summer of '06 to the following summer, '07. And once he said it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in. So I was like, wow, for me, my Christian faith is important to me. I could really extend, the hands and feet of Jesus with the wounded who are just talking about sacrifice and their lives utterly impacted as a warrior off the battlefield. And then they can see me and my Marines as a first face. So, and that's another story in itself. So the wounded are medically evacuated, and they're on typically a C-130. Some of them, a lot of them are intubated because of the severity of their wounds, and so they have a ICU nurse or doctor with them, and then they land at Ramstein, and then they are transported, and then we're right there with the ICU as soon as they come. So when they land, they're like, oh, yeah, we're landing at Ramstein Air Force Base. So you can imagine they're rolling their eyes. Oh, Air Force. And then as soon as they get off, they see the Marines. Yes. And it's like, and it is something special. Like it's the surrogate cousin or aunt or uncle, or I like to say for me, big sister, and so it's like, and it's like that long distance, relative you haven't seen, and as soon as you've seen it, like you can sigh, like, okay, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so it was extremely rewarding, and this, I know as a nation, we were not prepared for all the wounded, there was a lot that had happened, Walter Reed and what have you, and that's where I learned about compassion fatigue, where like at Bethesda, like everyone was just worn out to the max, and you couldn't find a nice person in the hospital, including the chaplains, because it was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So a lot we learned, but so for that experience, like I wouldn't change that. So you're talking about my favorite, like, so of course the work was extremely fulfilling and rewarding, and I loved it. So that was just enough to be satisfying. But then to be there in Germany, I mean, that was great in itself. So there was time that we had on the weekends, like we would really take advantage of that and travel, because, in the Marine Corps, you just didn't have those opportunities. There are some desolate bases in the Marine Corps. And usually you like them, you hate them, you love them, but mostly you hate them. But you're still glad to be a Marine, So yeah, you wouldn't change that part.
And it seems like that's just how life is sometimes. It's like a double-edged sword.
It is. That's so true.
It's like you have the good and you have the bad all in there, and it just cuts to the heart.
Yes, yes, you're so right. You're so right. I think about, I was just at a hospital, a medical appointment, and, thank you for your service, and what was that like? I'm like, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, wouldn't trade it for the world. I say, no regrets, Mr. President, so truly, it made me who I am, and I'm just a better person for it, including and especially my failures. But, I couldn't ask for a better adventure. I got exactly what I wanted. Scratch that itch from the Marine Corps, because it is a mindset. It isn't just wearing the uniform. Like you really embrace the honor, courage, and commitment, the ethos, the warrior mindset, and it's a change forever. It's just branded on your heart, the EGA, Eagle, Globe, and Anchor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not a Marine, but I'm a Marine mom, and so
okay.
I was adopted into that family, because that's what it is. It's a family.
It is, yes, and that's a good point. So do you see that with your son? Mm-hmm. Like all that camaraderie?
Yep.
Interesting point. So I had done, I also deployed in Afghanistan, so I was the detachment officer in charge of the 1st Marine Corps Mortuary Affairs Unit in Afghanistan. So yeah, so very, very daunting. We had the hardest mission, I find, in the battlefield in providing care and handling and preparing human remains for evacuation to Dover Air Force Base and repatriation to next of kin. However, they weren't just human remains. They were our beloved Marines and sailors who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And
they were your brothers and sisters.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sailors, Marines, and we grieved deeply when we were called to duty, and we remember them with reverence, love, and respect. And I say there's no greater love than for one to lay down his life for mankind. And so we had a reunion for Afghanistan. It was supposed to be our 10th, but because of COVID, it became our 12th. Oh. But we had it at Camp Lejeune, and we had all we call the Gold Star families there.
Oh, wow.
And this was a great story a mom shared. She lost her son, and she was talking to the commanding general It was General Larry Nicholson, Lieutenant General, retired. And she said, "Oh, I'm just so sad, not just to lose my son, but to break contact with the Marine Corps." And it was a CACO, what we call a Casualty Assistance Call Officer. And she's like, "What?" He goes, "What did you say?" And like, I'm not going to have contact with the Marine Corps. And you're like, oh no, that is so contrary. That's far from the truth. I mean, you are part of the Marine Corps family forever. And I share that, like, during the reception with others, like, that might be good news or bad news. But you are stuck with the Marine Corps forever. So it's like that uncle that comes all the time to the dinner engagements or the Thanksgiving, and like, maybe embarrasses you, maybe you're not, but you got to tolerate them. That's like, yeah, Marine Corps, good or bad, invade, impose. So no, and forever. We are bonded by by the blood, the depth of waters run deep in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So you
It's a
see
special
that
kind of thing.
You see that, right, with your son?
Yes.
Is there anything you can share on that then?
Just keeping that close connection with his brothers in the Marine Corps, and the values. Definitely the values.
You see that? Mm-hmm. So interesting. How do you see him living out those values? Like, what is it? Like pride in themselves, and standing taller, or making sure he's put together and.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the fifth on this.
Okay.
'Cause I don't.
All right, that's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Is he still in the Marine Corps?
No, he's not. And he loves listening to the podcast and stuff. And so just
Hoorah,
sometimes
son.
I say stuff and then I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Okay. Well, I don't
'cause
want to
moms
embarrass you.
just say stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
well,
okay.
we're biased. We're partial. But let's put it this way. Did you see a transformation before boot camp and then after?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Of course. It's kind of funny. I can share this. I'm still on a Marine Corps family Facebook page, and some of the people, it's just like the new families coming in, and some of these comments, one mom, she was just like, what happened to my son? He's like a totally different person now. And it's so true, because they just come back and they're like appreciative of everything that you've done as a parent.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think my son was always respectful, and he didn't go like all crazy. And then it's like, oh, you need to go into boot camp and shape up. It wasn't like that.
Sure. I understand. Yes.
But he was already like a good kid, but then Dad was like, took it to a way other level of just respect and all of the qualities that the Marine Corps values are.
Interesting. So I would imagine, maturity, leaps and bounds.
Yes.
Responsibility,
Yes.
leadership, time management.
Well, and the quality
Yes.
of life in general, I'm sure, right? You go to so many different countries, you see so much different things, and how you come home, you're like, I can turn on this switch and I have lights.
Yes, running
I can lift up this
water.
handle and there's water.
Yes, yes. I think
there's
I hate
ice
to say.
in a
Yeah,
cup.
well, I brought him up going on missions trips, so he had seen some of that
okay.
before. So that he was very appreciative to all the
Correct. The amenities.
privileges that we
Right,
have here
privileges,
in the
thank you.
United States.
And it is
Yeah.
a privilege, really.
Yeah,
It
so he
is.
saw that. He did.
For some of the lost kids that are out there, they're a little bit lost. I don't know. You're going through high school. You don't know who you are, what
Right.
you want to be, what you want to do. And some do, some don't. Some have a target of where they want to go. And the ones that don't, when they go to the military, they come out, they know exactly. Even right after boot, they're like, this is what I'm doing. They're guided.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're put in the right direction with a brotherhood and a sisterhood of greatness. So I love that structure. A while when I'm coming out, I was a Sea Cadet coming out of high school, and didn't end up going. My buddies did. I lost two of them to Desert Storm. One of them actually was underwater demo, and his acetylene torch came up with his head before his body did, kind of thing, right? And I think about him every day. And if I was gonna go in, I wanted to be an SK, best Italian job on the water. What fell off the boat, right? Oh, right here, sir. But that was a stamp of approval. That was like, yep, guaranteed. And then right towards second swearing was like, nope, you're gonna be a swabby. I'm like, nope, don't think so. So I backed out. But I have the absolute respect for anybody, no matter what the job is that you're doing, because you're taking out the time of your life and sacrificing. And some people are like, well, I was just, I worked at a galley. Well, yeah, no, you were there. You still took the time out to support your brothers and sisters in doing what you did. So it doesn't. There's a job for everybody.
There is.
Important.
There's a job for everybody.
It's just like parts of the body. There's nothing of your body that you can't live with. I mean, there'll be a consequence, So yeah, it's all working cohesive as a team.
Correct.
And like you said, that the razor sharp focus. What you get an MOS, and you got to know that inside and out. Be a subject matter expert.
Yep.
And that expertise, everyone's relying on that. It could be life or death. I mean, doesn't you're talking about chow hall is good for morale. I mean, if you want some good morale in chow hall, Marines need to be paid, and administration and pay clerk. I mean, yes, it takes a team.
It does,
and I think sometimes that makes it really difficult once the service member, no matter which branch, they come out of the military, where they've had everything right there, that they know exactly where to go to, and then they get out, they have their plan, they're focused, but then it's like, oh, where do I go for medical insurance now? What about housing? Oh, what about this? What about that? And it can just snowball, because it's not just one piece. It's like the whole pie.
Yeah.
It's just changed, and they're having to deal with all of these things all at the same time.
And a lot of times too, I hear, this is what I hear, is when they come back, they're like, everything's moving way too slow for me. Because everything is so fast paced and structured, and it's so lackadaisy here. And
you don't have that teamwork,
right?
You don't have the team.
You're rolling solo for the most part, and then you try to get involved with something that has that team, and you're like, "Come on, let's go, team!" And they're like, yeah, maybe in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
And I love the fact that we're just totally passing up that you were Major Bacon, because now I'm hungry. That's awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
I walked in, and I just heard Major Bacon. I'm like, damn,
yes,
I'm so hungry.
Kevin Bacon keeps reaching out to
Is
me.
he?
Yeah, he's like, are we related? I go, I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe not. I mean, I can't help you right now, but so anyway.
But can you share a little bit
certainly.
on that?
Yeah, so I actually have good 2 phases. So I did 5 years active duty, and what you said is just absolutely spot on. So it is, when you're in the military, it is the clearinghouse. Everything you need. You're sick that day, go to medical. I mean, 2 blocks, you're at medical.
Yeah.
Get you some antibiotics, you're back at work. So my friends who stay on active duty, and I've heard this more than once, they say it's easy because you got this rhythm, you're in the sweet spot, you know what you need to do, and you can see kind of, we call the sharks coming in the boat, like your deadlines, and you're gearing up for training or deployment. So, but you got this great rhythm going on. We call it the battle rhythm, and it's expected, and so you are just flowing. And like you said, that structure, that organization leaves little room for failure, because everything is right on target of what you need to get done.
It works like a machine.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well-oiled machine. Then you get out. So I did 5 years. I don't think I realized how for lack of a better word, institutionalized. I was. And I mean that in the most endearing way.
Sure.
Like, that's a positive thing. So
Yeah.
I get out, and I, after Parris Island, 5 years, and then I relocate to Chicago suburbs. I had family here at the time. And after looking at jobs, I got hired by Sears at home office. So it was great. It was, I had, at the time, I had a human resource master. So I get hired, and talking about, like, just shocked or a fish out of water. So, they give you all these medical plans. What? PPO, HMO, what? I am clueless.
And
then
it's all overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. I had no clue. And then, so not unbeknownst to me, I was hired and got the, basically the throes of work. So I was a project manager. I also had to host a lot of teams that, there were departments all over the nation that would come for school there, like, let's say, human resource specialist. So I'm, like, doing all the logistics for that. Also, I'm it's called civil treatment instructor. So I'm traveling and teaching, and it's basically how to avoid litigation for workplace behavior. So it was really all very fulfilling and rewarding. Well, 3 months go by, and I missed my window to sign up for medical. I never heard such a thing. I'm like, what? I had to sign up for medical? And I'm like, 3 months had passed, like, I didn't know that. And, it's like not a lack of effort or responsibility. I just didn't know. And so I missed this window. I'm like going to HR. I'm like begging, like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, so I've never heard such a thing. No one explained it. So missed the boat on medical. And then I'm at a apartment in the suburbs, and I can tell you it wasn't the best neighborhood. So I'm not feeling really safe. I can hear a lot of activity and probably very bad stuff, and I'm not feeling very safe. So I'm already, rattled there. And by the way, I'm like, I have to pay for fitness. It's like, the fitness and that's expensive. I got to drive there. So talking about all the things like a young Marine would say, I'm done with this outfit, I'm out of here. And then they regret getting out. Now, I'm not going to say I regret getting out. The next month, I went right into the reserves, and that was fantastic. So, because I just felt it was a little bit too much. So it's like feast or famine. I just, I had to pace myself. But yes, very much shell shock. So, going to reserves, really couldn't ask for a better career. And then, like I said, I was an inspector instructor in Portland, Oregon, for headquarters service company, 6th Engineer Battalion, really good experience. Then picked up for Iraq with civil affairs, so very humanitarian, rebuilding the nation. So we have what is called mission creep. We had no problem, destroy and attack the enemy. Now we got this, ruined nation. If we don't do something, somebody else will, and that's going to likely be the bad guy. So let's build this nation. So again, very much humanitarian, winning the hearts and minds toward democratic nation. We would go to a government center and teach them about economics and education and government. And again, hands and feet of Jesus, just like really being there for like a medical stand down. My first sides assignment was election officer in charge. So I saw democracy in the making. It was October 15th, 2005, where the Iraqi people would vote on a national referendum. And because of corruption, if you might remember back in the day, they would have their fingers purple, and that would show that they voted. Yeah. So we were part of that. We had poll workers, and I was there at Baghdad to make sure that that they made it to Baghdad. So anyway, a lot of transition, very exciting. And then the following month, it was approved and voted on, and then they voted on the people to appoint. So again, really, really rewarding. And so anyway, going from there, Germany, like I said, and then Afghanistan, and then a lot of assignments inside and out from there. Retired 30 years, and now here we are. So May 1st, 2024 is my official retire date. And I was finished, I did almost over 2 months, ended in middle of March of 2024. And I got to tell you, and I'll be honest, life is hard. So I'm one of those floundering at the moment. Now, just at the moment, But it is
Everything's temporary.
I know. Well, I know what I need to do, but it's slow, and it's so easy to be distracted. And so one of my favorite analogies is, if you ever heard of the movie Hurt Locker?
Yes.
So I love that he gets back and he's hardcore EOD, doing some tough stuff. He gets home, his wife says, go and get cereal. And he goes to the grocery store, and there is lines
Gazillion.
of cereal, back to back to back. And he's like looking like, are you kidding me? Like, what cereal do you want? So the decisions I have to make, unbelievable, overwhelming. So unfortunately, some personal brokenness in family that's happening. I transitioned, retired from the Marine Corps. I relocated to Great Lakes Navy Base,
Nice.
which I know, talk about institutionalized. They honored that because I'm retired, even though I don't think they get the reserve part, but I'm still retired. So I got a very nice duplex. I love it. What I love the most is 8 a.m. hearing the colors and national anthem, and then at dusk you hear taps, and then at 2200, 10 p.m. you hear taps again. It's like permission to sleep, okay, thank you. And then you can hear 5 reveille. So love that. I mean, music to my ears, you go back to what is familiar, what's comfortable, and what you know.
Yes.
And then you're surrounded by these like-minded service members, so I share the walls. The other side is the families, E5, Navy, and mostly everyone's working at the recruit training. But there's something to be said for that. Like, I had to say insulated. I feel secured, and I feel definitely I have more in common with them than as. I still see me as Marine. So General Amos made it clear. There's no such thing as a former Marine.
Correct.
And so you can take me out of the Marine Corps, but you can't take the Marine
Corps
out of me.
That's right.
So just like a wild animal, you can take them out of the wild, take the wild out of the animal. So, but it's good, So I know there is just extending yourself grace to say, okay, all right, I have to say, I've been part of this institution. It's part of me. And it is taking a long time to decompress. And so my Navy friend, he did 20 years, he's a doctor, saw a lot of trauma, did a lot of surgery on the battlefield, and he's like, you're only 1 year out. It took me 5 years to finally settle down. It's just like, I'm going on base, I'm making sure I'm shaved and, looking high and tight, and part of me is like, yeah, I still got my uniforms ready, and they talked about retired recall, and I got real excited, like, oh yeah, put me in, coach, and then found out that, like, it was like New Orleans, like, and I was mentally, okay, I can get an apartment there, and I'm gonna get rid of my dog and figure out what I'm gonna do, and then it was like, oh, false alarm, like, we're, so there's no retired recall, and I was like, but I reflected, like, my goodness, I was like, the thought process like took off, like, you are ready, like, and ready. And so I have to say, we are very good at making Marines, but it's still in that process of like downshifting. Okay, all right, it doesn't have to be this fast. Or I used to, after the Marine Corps, I got out and I went out to eat with my parents, and I ordered something like, this doesn't taste good, but I'm still eating it. And my mom's like, this isn't the Marine Corps. You don't have to eat it,
Right.
And it's like, oh, no, you're going to eat it and you're going to like
That's
it.
right. That's right.
And so that was kind of the mindset. And so now you take one of those changes, just one, changing jobs, relocating, trying to find all of your medical stuff. I had to find, a new medical, PCP, chiropractor. I got a lot of service-connected conditions, dentists. Just one of those is overwhelming. You take all of those that I'm going through, compounded concurrently, and it's like, I'm lucky if I remember my name, And so, thankfully, I'm leaning into my faith. Like, I feel like I'm living the Footprints poem, if most people know about that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's one set that's because I know, Jesus is carrying me, because it's just that challenging. But
Yeah.
I know I've got goals for myself, And right now I'm reading a great book called Atomic Habits, James Clear.
Read it.
Yep. Have you?
read it.
Awesome.
Okay, so just like baby steps. So,
That's right.
and for me, I've come a long way in my health, especially mental health after doing mortuary affairs in Afghanistan, and so knowing that what we have to do is what I call the daily disciplines. Taking care of yourself. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-love.
That's right.
And, so getting your sleep, drinking my water, taking my vitamins, exercising, and then it's sort of like you have to do that every day. It's not like you put deodorant on one day and think you're going to smell good all week.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
Now, for those
Right.
Marines out there, you might
I
be able to
love
get away
that.
with that. You love it. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
stealing that.
That
All right,
is a
okay.
perfect example.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Or you don't binge eat and expect to be full all week.
Correct.
It's daily.
It's
Yes.
daily.
If
Yes.
it's a living, breathing, entity. You've got to
Yes.
feed it, nurture it. It's your, your mind, body, and soul. Okay. So, anyway, I very grateful. So, as you can imagine, the story about being picked up with Afghanistan. So, after this is interesting. So after Germany, I did a year, and it was really good because I was on a leave of absence from teaching. And it's like, as soon as the kids get on my nerves, I'm like, where's the next deployment? I'm out of here, And so, but for good reason, And so, because we had two raging wars at the same time. So I had taken a year off, and it was utterly anticlimactic. I mean, I'm just saying. After inspector instructor, and then Iraq, and then Germany, and then it's like this year. It was like, like, oh, dun, 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 muckety muck, trying to go through life, and like, okay, I'm going to put my name in the hat. So very odd. When I was in Germany, they offered this 2-week course. Whenever there's training, you take it because you want to put it on your performance evaluation. Well, this 2-week course happened to be mortuary affairs. 2 weeks, you get the MOS. All right, everybody, like, you want to, okay, that's good to know. I'm at a hospital, all right. Not knowing I would use that. So, all right, I put my name in the hat. The only thing they came back, was, okay, we need a debt OIC for Iraq. And at this time, Iraq was tapering off. So the expectation was that we wouldn't work or work very little. Now, if you work once, that's one too many as far as I'm concerned. But nonetheless, our expectations were we're going to Iraq and things are tapering off as far as kinetic operations. So hopefully you all just be a kind of a dormant cell.
Right.
Until, So,
Yeah.
all right, that's
If
okay.
needed.
If needed, yes, stand by. All right. So we got mobilized December 1st, 2008, expecting to deploy in January 2009. So then we go to Lejeune, ready to deploy, and they said, oh, pump the brakes. You're not going to Iraq, you're going to go to Afghanistan. And the reason why is at that time was President Obama did the troop surge in Afghanistan. And so our commanding general, Lieutenant General Larry Nicholson, was designated, he was a 1-star at the time, to stand up this second MEB, so Marine Expeditionary Brigade. So we were ready to go, and then we were frozen for 5 months, and then basically, cooling our heels at Lejeune, doing training, and then we finally deploy in April 2009, 6 months into October, we came back. So the hardest 6 months, as you can imagine. So we're not talking a funeral parlor where, they can embalm the remains and they had rosy cheeks and they look all peaceful.
Right.
We're talking war mutilated remains, so I don't think I need to go further.
No.
So that being said was, again, very daunting. And I was not expecting the after fact. So like most Marines, when you're in the combat zone, you are razor focused. This is my job. Okay. Get through your day, PT, chow. Okay, at night, unfortunately, that's when we got called because that's when, they wanted to engage because it was so hot. So it was only at night. So, and we get called and, more times than I care to acknowledge. So after the 6 months, I get back and I have a tortured soul. Like my skin is crawling, severe PTSD, hypervigilance, sensitivity to everything. I mean, the best analogy is personification of the Incredible Hulk, you know?
Yeah.
Don't make me angry.
That's right.
You don't want to like me when I'm angry. I can laugh about it. And I wrote about...
I'm going to talk real soft moving forward.
So you get my drift. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not me. Okay, I'm just telling you. I mean, PTSD hijacked my brain and was renting space in my head, but not even paying. They were squatting.
Right, squatters. Right.
So yeah, squatters. So I was besides myself and going absolute crazy. So just got married, you know, not doing too good in the marriage, you know, just out of sorts. So thankfully went to marriage counseling. And then it was a slowly evolution where the counselor said, oh, I just want to talk to Patty now. Like, you know, like this isn't looking good. Right. So I'm Kathy, I know. Like, I'm calling your number. Yeah, I'll see you after class. Yeah.
Can I take a rain check,
Yeah, it's
please?
like, oh man, where's the escape here? So I'm like rolling my eyes, like typical, you know. So he doesn't go, I go. And I'm just gushing, like I'm sharing things that I've seen and that I'm carrying. The nightmares I still remember to this day. They were just so surreal and so intense. So at the last session, she said, I'm going to tell you something. I'm like, oh, please. That's like, you know, I'm bracing myself. You know, don't tell me I'm a whack job or something. And she said, I think you have PTSD. I'm like, oh. That makes sense. You know, I'm just going out of my mind. And, you know, just the buzz of the fish tank or this neighbor who had loud music and I could hear the windows rattle. I was so angry. I'm like, almost as if they were doing it on purpose. You know, I was just, again, going out of my mind. So from there, I got plugged into VA, got to counseling on a regular basis, went almost sometimes twice a week, once a week, not a lack of effort. Okay. So, go through life, go into the counseling, and it was something like this. Like, now, later in life, I'm at this counseling for 12 years, okay, 12 and a half years. By then, I've had my boys. So I was a part of a unique program in the Marine Corps called DAP. It's called Direct Affiliate Program for the Reservists, but for me, it was called Delayed Adult Program. So I put off adulthood as long as I could, had my kids in my 40s, and thrilled to be a mom, thrilled to find the back door to motherhood and have these two beautiful boys. And so I'm going to counseling. I have to get a neighbor, great gal, be a babysitter. Hey, babysit my kids, drive 30 minutes to go to the clinic for the VA, settle down from my brain mom. And so the therapist is doing her job to teach me mindfulness. And she's like, imagine the air coming out of your nose, hitting your upper lip, and you're present in the moment. And time's up. Time's up. And it's like 30 minutes. So I drive home thinking, what the hell does the air coming out my nose have anything to do with being relaxed? Now I'm like really fired up, and I'm like really like that was a waste. Like, and nothing against her, but I was like that was just a tease. And I'm back. Get back 30 minutes, pay the babysitter, back to the throes of motherhood, home, housekeeping, and just like my head is spinning. It's like playing whack-a-mole, and again, back to the crazyville. So I'm just like, can't get a hold of this. So then I had the perfect storm in my life. And this is, if I ever was into ministry or preaching, I would say God won't invade, but God won't impose, but he'll invade. So this was the invasion. And this is good. So I needed this. So perfect storm. Regrettably and sadly, my dad passed August 2nd, 2019. He wasn't doing well. Come to terms with being an adult orphan. My mom had passed 2012. And oh, by the way, I'm the youngest of 4. And I get the privilege of doing all the estate planning and selling, and Secretary of the State, power of attorney, healthcare surrogate.
More decisions.
More decisions. And I really don't have the bandwidth because I had taken 2 years off from teaching in order to have my kid, my second one, And then I was ready to go back to teaching. Now, I always was part-time because I taught adapted PE, which gave me space because I was a reservist, so I wasn't so overworked and tired. But the leadership wanted me to go full-time and, by the way, take over another department that I wasn't qualified. It was family consumer science. So I'm like, that's a joke. I'm not even, I don't know, a domestic bone in my body. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was like I missed that gene. I was at the bottom of the gene pool. My sisters got it. I did not. So I'm supposed to teach cooking and, sewing and all this. So it's funny. So needless to say, I didn't meet the expectations of the leadership. And so, long story short, first day of school, my classroom gets rearranged behind my back, and come to find out it's a senior leader in school who did it behind my back. And I talked to him and I said, if that's what you wanted, that should have been a conversation. And he goes, well, you can fix it tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I need some more time because I'm teaching. It's like driver's ed. You don't go behind the wheel the first day.
Right.
We're talking like cross-contamination and cooking. And so needless to say, I like to say it's the beginning of a beautiful relationship, So he had my number, and that didn't go well. So long story short, this is when I knew I was getting out of sorts. I was getting very aggressive with the students. It used to be only 18 in a class, and it was great because I was teaching PE. So imagine third grade, 18. They doubled up my class and doubled up the teacher next to me at the same time. So imagine a gym with 80 third grade. So I'm going bonkers, and the PTSD is just like,
through the roof.
Pressure cooker exploding.
Yeah.
And then same with junior high. They tripled us, and so I was out of sorts. So long story short, this student, he gets kicked with the ball. He shouldn't even be in my class because this student has special needs, like serious type 1 diabetes. Anyway, I lost it. I told the kid, because I said, don't kick the ball, and I said, don't kick it. So I was out of control. Long story short, I am really reprimanded. It broke me. And I'm like, I can't do this. There's something not right. And so the worst case where I hit rock bottom was when I had to resign. I couldn't take it, and I got escorted out of the building, like I was some criminal. But I knew that was hitting rock bottom, as they say, is a firm foundation, right?
That's right. That's right.
Can't go any lower.
Can't go any lower.
Yeah. So it's a firm foundation. Oh, yeah. It can only go up. And so I left there, and I'm like, as I'm getting escorted, what's going in my mind is like, I need immersion. I can't do this half-hour stuff. I am going out of my mind. I need immersion. So, long story short, I cleared my calendar. It took about a year before I applied. I got calls making sure I'm not suicidal. I was never suicidal. I always appreciated life. If I was really desperate, my secret to get away was just to leave and escape to Florida. Florida, yes. Call my name. Yeah. But so anyway, so I go, and I am full of shame, totally self-condemned, self-loathing. The only people I tell that I'm doing this is my husband, my in-laws, and my best friend. Everybody asks, hey, where you going? I'm going on a military assignment. That's true. I didn't lie. So I'm going on a military assignment, and I just remember vividly, like, oh, you're just, you're a piece of something, Yeah, you are like just whack job, So I get there, and terrible anxiety or fear, like, all right, do I meet the criteria for PTSD? Because you're thinking of someone in Skid Row, right? Like someone homeless, like really hardcore combat veteran. I didn't pull the trigger. Also, I'm thinking, is also like, I don't want to take a seat from another veteran that deserves to be there more than I do. And God forbid I would feel terrible. And am I worthy of PTSD treatment?
Little imposter syndrome on the PTSD side, right?
Yeah. Am I, some infantry, like, yeah, you're full of crap. So all these things were just like, really invading me, like really feeling less than. I get there, and I knew this is what I needed. And I was still very overwhelmed with life, but I knew I was in the right place. Over time, I could feel a lot better. So it was basically, I find PTSD treatment is a sanctuary for warriors where they can unpack their burdens of PTSD, disarm them, and hit the reset button of their life. And that's what I felt. I felt God had sent his best guardian angels to my flanks and pulled me out of this death grip
Nice.
of PTSD. Yeah. And I remember vividly, with weeks going by, we had the treatment I went through was cognitive processing therapy. And it was basically therapy where you get these stuck points. They call them stuck points. We call them suck points. You know, they suck
everything out of you.
Yeah, it's really suck. And so it's like I'm a whack job, and people think da 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 da, and I just damaged goods. And so, okay, then the therapist. We had group therapy. We had individual therapy. We saw a psychiatrist, and I saw a chaplain. And she's like, okay, let's peel the onion here a little bit. Okay. You went to a combat zone. You did probably the hardest job in a battlefield. If you didn't have some residual effects, we would be probably more concerned than if you didn't. So just the basics of logic, like PTSD is a normal response to an abnormal situation.
Correct.
It's learning the brain. It's a natural reaction to protect itself. It's a
Trauma's
defense.
trauma.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You don't need to be in the military to get PTSD.
Correct. That's correct.
Right.
So yeah, and listen, you saw some shit.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Yes. And those are, everything I saw is abnormal to a human being, or making contact with them. But the images, it doesn't matter how many books you read, how much training you read, until you encounter that.
Right.
It's just no way. Yeah.
So and I always say that the brain has to process what it experienced, and it's different for everybody.
Absolutely.
Of processing it out.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And same with me. The understanding, like, your brain is taken over because you see all this death, and it's protecting you, because it's like, that's death. You're just one step away of being that person. So what do we need to do to get you far away from that?
Right.
And it's like the fight or flight.
I was just going to say, you lock
fight
in the fight or flight.
Now, as a Marine, it's not going to be flight. So,
That's right.
fight, oh yeah, bring it on. Like, close the gap and destroy. I was like so confrontational. It's like there was nothing I wanted more than come on,
Somebody
bring
lock
it
the
on,
door.
hook and jab, yeah. And I call it that Irish blood in me, but the Hulk. I mean, everything just like, oh yeah, make my day. So that was what happened. And so when here I'm newlywed and not, didn't go over. It was hard. I mean,
I would have to assume so.
Yeah. To say the least. So
everybody, you come home, everybody's like, oh,
yeah. I know.
I get it.
What I would say with my son was like a stick of dynamite.
Then he should
just waiting to go off,
That's
and
right.
you don't know how long that fuse is before
Just
it goes
don't-
off.
Oh yeah.
So
well put.
you can relate what he. Okay. Yeah. So
That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
okay. All right.
Right.
Well, good. Well,
Yeah, that's why she's in the game.
send them in my full article. But yeah, I would pressure cooker,
I
like
have.
the brewing. Okay. So that being said, long story short, I just want to say that when I was in treatment, I remember feeling so much better. Like, again, this dark, ominous cloud had finally parted, and I could see clear blue skies.
Yep.
And it was anything unlike I could ever describe. And I was thinking to myself, I feel so much better. Thank you, Lord. I feel so much better. I feel amazing. And I thought, I should share this with others, because it's been such a incredible, amazing experience. Then I thought, oh no, I'm still in uniform. I was still in Marine Corps Reserves. I'm a senior officer. I'm a colonel. I don't want to rock the boat. I'm also a minority as a woman. And I'm thinking I'm going on this litany of excuses. And it was like God tapping me on the shoulder saying, nice try that again, just like in Marine Corps fashion. Get back, right. Try that again. And so it's like, you are going to write your story. You're going to write it while you're in uniform. You're going to have a greater impact. And there are others who are suffering in silence like you are. And you need to share this experience. If you find, I knew this was God's healing hands, in mind, body, and soul. So that's when I wrote my story. And it was liberating. So they always say the truth will set you free.
Yep.
I
right.
never
Yep.
understood that. So my sister growing up had this poster, the truth will set you free. I'm like, never heard such a thing. That's really, really weird to me. Now I get it. So
Yeah.
the stigma is a stigma only if you respect the stigma. If you are open, it was the most liberating thing because then you disarm the stigma. This stigma doesn't have any power over me. I took my power back.
Yeah.
And I can't begin to tell you that how many people have positively responded, all positive, no negative. I posted my article on Lincoln. I have 11,565 impressions.
Wow.
I don't know that many people, but impression it had to be fed into.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Somebody did something for it.
yes,
They
yes.
clicked on it.
Yes. So so I am onto something, and I feel there's doing the Lord's work, like reaching out to people. So I renewed my health in mind, body, and soul, and treatment was the best gift in my entire adult life. So we are 1 week before graduating. I get an email. It's very sad. So one of our fellow Marines that we deployed with to Iraq, who was unbelievable, amazing officer. He was wounded. He almost didn't make it. His blood became septic. We had to evacuate him to Bethesda. He made recovery, but it was touch and go. Had this great picture with his 4 young kids, his toddler on his belly, thrilled, just beaming in the presence of their father. He continued in the Marine Corps, got promoted to lieutenant colonel, did 28 years, did deployments in Afghanistan and Operation Restore Hope, OIF, could speak like 6 languages, couple masters. Anyway, 61, he died. Didn't make a lot of sense. And come to find out, he was struggling with PTSD and had taken his life. And he had 6 kids, all beautiful kids, with his wife. And he would be the last person we would suspect to struggle with anything because he was such a force of nature. I mean, he had such a military presence. He was the epitome of Marine, chiseled,
Put on a good
jar
act.
head. Yeah, I mean, just amazing. And we were devastated. I mean, talk about someone you never forget or think about a lot. Yeah. So I share that, and I'll just end with this. So when I went through this, I saw a chaplain, a lot of brokenness in my family, coming to terms, healing, getting to a better place. And so trying to come to terms with my past, which was destructive because of my anger. I crossed this Bible passage. It's Isaiah 43, 18, 25. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. And I thought that was beautiful. So that's my past, letting go, because mindfulness, which I finally found out how to do right, is living in the present. And then my future goes to Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. So
I love it.
Yes, yes. And I'm pumped up. When I share this, my heart's beating fast. I know this is a divine calling. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity to share. Thank you for laughing at my jokes. Thank you all for hosting me. God bless, and Semper Fidelis.
Wow.
Thank you. That was a lot. I didn't even have to ask any questions.
Oh, shoot,
I didn't
Jen,
have to
you-
ask about.
You sat there very well.
I know, motor mouth.
All the tools for success, you nailed them.
Oh.
You gave
Yeah.
all kinds of different examples.
Are we on the record? No.
So,
Get this on the record.
yeah, well, it's recorded.
Oh, okay,
For
okay.
sure it's on record.
So thank you so much. You just said everything
Really?
perfectly.
Oh,
Yes.
you're too kind. Your stock
Yeah.
went up too.
You're a beautiful person.
I was gonna say,
really
you're
are.
a piece of
So
work.
encouraging.
She's very
Right.
inspirational.
Well, thank you.
And there's a plan. God put you in a
Yes.
plan, and everything you had to go through and everything you did, you're right where you need to be.
Yes,
For
I
a
agree.
reason.
I agree.
And you're going to help so many people by doing what you're doing. Bless you for that.
Thank you.
And you're a beautiful person.
Oh,
keep
thanks.
keep tugging along.
Yes. appreciate
You
that.
got our support 100%
Wonderful.
in any capacity ever for sure.
Thank you.
Especially with Roger That Chronicles.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And yeah, I get fired up. Like, I know this is my calling. You know, I did my 30 years. I remember struggling becoming more committed as a Christian in college because I had realized that I want to be a Marine. And I was afraid that might have been a dichotomy I had to choose, you know. And but I couldn't, you know, I'm like, no, this is a calling. The only thing I knew certain in my entire life was the calling to be a Marine.
Yeah.
And then going through the thick of it, the worst that can be, you know, that you could ever imagine doing on a battlefield, and then it broke me. And then, you know, like I said, you know, it's a firm foundation when you hit rock bottom. And then, like, okay, but I did it because of God. You know, God was with me. I'm living the, you know, the footsteps, you know,
Yeah.
and it's, may God have all the glory.
Design
Yes.
the path.
And
Absolutely.
It's kind of funny. Because I have a story myself, and it's like good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. It's like the Lord allowed us to go through that walk.
Yes.
And we know we only got out of it with His help, you know, but it doesn't matter that if it was horrible or not, you know, it helped us become the person that we are
Yes.
now.
Correct.
And it also gives us more compassion for other people
Yes.
that are going through that same exact thing, because we all have different stories that we all are able to relate to different people who
Correct.
need that encouragement.
Yes, yes.
You know, we don't all go through the same thing because we're all different.
Right.
You know, we all have those different walks,
Yes.
and people need to hear the story.
Yes, yes. I think, you know, like a lot of my friends and combat veterans, like, you know, you're walking through the gates of hell. You know, and if you cross through that, you're going to get burned. But with healing, they're healed. And so if you have these scars, they all have a story. You know,
Yeah.
it's a
That's right.
story of redemption, and it's almost like a badge of honor where God gets the glory.
Absolutely.
And and I also think about, like, I had such great imagery. Like, when I went through treatment, I was the healthiest and almost like I had superpowers. It's hard to describe. But I saw my life almost like this brokenness, all like a shattered ceramics, but coming together as a mosaic, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can see the cracks, but here I come back, and you can see where God had put the cracks, you know, and then a little, you know, healing here, healing there. And then a lot of times mosaics are mosaic because of the beauty, you know?
Yeah, I had a buddy that came out, and he had a lot of scars, and he called them signatures.
Yes.
They're the signatures from angels.
Oh,
That
nice.
kept him
wow.
alive. And so he doesn't, you know, they were like, well, we could do surgery. He's like, you're not taking my signatures away.
Okay, so there's physical scars on the
Physical
skin?
scars, internal scars.
Okay.
And some things he didn't want. He's doing good now, but he didn't want, he thought memories would be gone. And that's all he had were certain memories, you know.
Like
that-
good or bad?
Well, they were bad, but
Oh.
they were people involved that he loved.
Right.
And so if those memories go, do those people go too?
Right.
You know, and so it was the separation
Yeah.
of remembering people for who they were and what they did versus the moment of tragedy.
Yes.
When
Right.
everybody went through. It's okay to separate from that. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's part of healing and forgiveness.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
100%.
what the act wasn't right, but you can still love the person for being the person.
Yeah, he actually
Not
is
what
part of
they
a beta program for building HUD homes for veterans that come out.
Oh, wow.
And in that program is designed to, they call it little bites. Take little bites. If you eat the whole sandwich, you might choke, right? You come out, you take little bites. So that's the little
Yeah.
bites. And then as they come out, they help build the other HUD homes
Yeah, yeah.
as part of the program, as a team, as
Yes.
what they're used to. And it doesn't
Oh,
matter what
awesome.
branch.
Yeah.
You're still with the Brotherhood, you're still the TAPS, the, the pledge. And then from there, they get the hey, your insurance, and hey, let's go into town,
Yeah.
and hey, let's go shopping together. And then they can break off little by little as the program grows. You kind of graduate from it,
Nice.
thing. And so it's out of Texas, I think, right now.
Okay,
But
and
yeah.
so this is veteran related?
Yeah, it is
Okay,
veterans
okay.
related. It's a beta program. It's just being tested.
Oh, nice, okay.
To being like a deprogramming type
Yeah.
scenario.
Awesome.
Well, what was the name of the
Awesome.
program?
I really don't know
okay.
off the top of my head. That all he told me is he was part of this program.
Nice, okay.
I can try to get some data for you if you.
I'm just curious. I know another organization that's starting in Texas, but that's all. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I guess like, for me, like if I wanted to, I can remember everything. But I would best describe it as that it's quiet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it doesn't affect me in my my life in like me being functional like it did. So it's like it's dormant, it's quiet, it exists, but it's not loud.
Right.
Like it's not I'm overbearing where I just besides myself. Now I would say I definitely still have effects like nighttime. Who knows? Where would I be? Back, somewhere in the far,
well, as of right now, you look fantastic.
Well,
and
thank
you're doing
you.
great.
Your stock keeps going up. You keep going.
I mean, I'm keeping score too.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
in case
2-1.
I ever got it.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Take that, Chris. No. Listen, folks,
I'm
we
not a
are
numbers
out of
person.
time.
I
We're
don't
16
count.
minutes above time, which is great. Thank you so much for coming and joining us
Yes,
today.
thank you.
Thank
you for your
it's
service.
Oh
and
yeah.
everything.
Thanks, Chris. This has been
another
great.
excellent episode here at Roger That Chronicles. Listen, folks, if you like what you see, one more time, go to YouTube. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Ding that bell for future notifications. We do appreciate the support. And until next time, Roger that.
See ya.